Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. We got the neck bolted onto the body, but as you can see, you can actually visually see that it's a little off kilter. It's not exactly going straight down the center line, so we're going to have to take care of that. When I put a ruler on the center line at the nut position and the center line at the front of the guitar where the neck meets the body, all the way back at the tail of the guitar, we're off by 1/4 of an inch. The top part of the neck fits perfectly with no gaps, but on the cutaway side, up at the very top, there's just a very tiny little gap. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take care of that. This was hard to catch on camera, but you can see under the straight edge there's just a little light. That's the gap. To get the body ready for binding, we have to get this rough stuff off the edge. The flush cutting bit it really doesn't cut it perfectly flush. I'm going to have to make the rest of the guitar smooth just like it is in this area here. I need to know how big to make the binding, so I'm going to measure where one of the braces comes through the side, and you can see it's 248 or just around 1/4 of an inch on the top, but the back side's a little thinner. It's like 235. That means I'll have to make my binding at least 250, and I'd prefer it to be more like 260 or 270. Now I'm not actually cutting the binding channels yet. I'm just getting rid of that little overhang that was still there. That way I can have total access to the sides and I can get them nice and flat. I'll start getting it flat with a palm sander, but after that I'll come back with a scraper and get it nice and straight. Wow, that's pretty close, at least close enough for government work. I can floss it a little bit more to get it over a little later. But I needed to have it close before I cut the binding channels. So that's why I was tackling that right now. And I didn't want to go any farther than I had to because I don't want to sand through the outer layer of the double sides. So stop while you're ahead. That's what I'm going to do. The top of this board where I'm putting the marks and the bottom of this board are already sanded flat. So I won't have to actually sand those later on. And now I can sand them to thickness. I'm shooting for 80 thousandths of an inch here. Now I can cut these wide strips into roughly the right size for binding. They're going to be a little oversized, so I'm going to have to sand them in a minute, but I've got a cool little trick to show you how to do that. Alright, I have this jig I made a few years ago. Sometimes you don't always get a chance to have a smooth edge on binding, so like right now we've got rough edges from where we just cut it. So I'm going to put those rough edges up on all of these, and then I will clamp them all together. Okay, that's all up. Now I use these old wood clamps because I never really had much use for these, but I just cut one up and used it for this. So I'll clamp it in place here. And these bars here just to kind of help support it everywhere. Make sure it's down. Go ahead and clamp this up as well. Okay, so I'm going to run it through the drum sander like this. I could stop there, but I think I'm going to go just a little more. There's not a specific height that I need these to be, but there is a minimum height, so I don't want to go past that. I don't want to go below 250. I prefer it to be more 260, 270, so I'll just one more little crank and one more pass, and then we'll call it good. 277, that'll work perfect. Okay, so after that last video telling you how to be careful and get everything all marked so you can line up curl and stuff like that, I almost made a big mistake. Actually, I did make a big mistake, but luckily I saved myself before I even knew I made a mistake. If you noticed, I put marks on one side of the board so I'd know where they were. Well, I should have put marks on the opposite side of the board as well, because half the pieces got cut off from one side of the board and half from the other side, so when you flip it over there's actually no mark. But luckily, I'm gonna have to go back and look and see what I did, but I had a pencil mark that was going around the board, so at least I've got them lined up. So I know, accidentally of course, but I know that they're all lined up there. So they all book match basically like this, in other words. So if I put this in together with that, it wouldn't exactly book match, but with this curly maple, as nice as it is, no one would be able, I wouldn't even be able to tell. So not the end of the world, but okay. So just so I don't have any more mistakes, I'm going to put another line there, and then I'm going to put some more on the back side here. Or this, I think, is actually going to be the top side, but alright, so all of our binding is cut and to the right height. Like I said, it doesn't really matter the height as long as it's tall enough. As long as the binding is tall enough to cover the braces that are coming out the sides, it could be any height that I wanted. So you can see here, I've got plenty of room there, lots of extra space. Could have made them, you know, ½ inch thick if I wanted to, or ½ inch tall, but this is more binding looking. So now we just got to bend them. Well, this is cooled off, so let's take it apart and see what we've got. There we go. That is the majority of our binding. Now I still have to do the cutaway, but I'll do that a little bit different. So thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time. I guess we'll have to put this on.